YouTube, I got a tremendous unboxing for you today. Lots of cool Rolexes. A watch that makes it in the top 10 most iconic watches ever made. And a God-tier watch and a very special gift from a young man who's a very motivated entrepreneur, apparently. Stay tuned. Let's go. You know what? I'm gonna go to the first watch, and that's a God-tier watch from a very dear friend of mine named Eric, who owns a tiny little company called Undefeated. Maybe you heard of it. Eric just did a collab with, you guessed it, Casio, God-tier according to our friend Nico. Check this out. Well, first of all, let's start with the packaging. Undefeated G-Shock. Wow, I don't think there's a Casio out there that comes with packaging as nice as this. Oh, you got a little tool to change your straps. Look at that. That is very, very cool. Surprised it didn't come with shoelaces. Come on, Eric, step up your game. This is actually me seeing it for the first time in person. I saw it on Instagram. So, oh, I see what they did there. So obviously, what is it? The carpet matches the drapes. Yeah, so you see the box and you see this. And honestly, pretty cool take on the Casio. And what I do like mostly about it is the strap that they give you. It's a NATO strap. And look, it's got the Undefeated branding, but on top of that, you also get a rubber strap. Eric, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Undefeated. This is not a sponsored video. I happen to be friends with Eric, and he sends me sneakers along with other things when they get released without me even asking for it. This is actually pretty cool. So I'm double wristing in this unboxing. I told you before, price doesn't matter. It's whether or not it's, you know, wearing what you like. Oh, surprise, it's another Rolex. Okay, so here we have a Rolex Smurf. Like this one versus the Blueberry, as they call it, which is the later version, which was the white gold with the black dial. I actually happen to prefer the Smurf because you get this big blue effect, right? Imagine if Rolex gets into ceramic and this was like all blue ceramic. It'd probably trade, what, 46 times over list or something, at 50x or something. Really a good look for Rolex, and probably one of my favorites out there, to be honest with you. Or they're cheaper now, obviously, with the market kind of shifting a little bit. Speaking of shifting, we're gonna shift that over so that that can see that. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. And we have here, oh, a Meteorite. Meteorite is just not a good word for an immigrant. Just Meteorite. So Meteorite Daytona in a white gold. Now, I happen to know that there's another one in here. So we're gonna do this twice. I'm gonna let you guys do sort of a quick comparison here. We got white gold versus yellow gold. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know which I would pick because I kind of like them both and they're so different because of the color scheme. I do feel like the white gold takes away less from the Meteorite dial with the whole ceramic situation, where the yellow markers and the yellow gold tends to take away a little more from the Meteorite dial. That's because the Meteorite dial on this is pretty subtle based on everything else that's on the dial, i.e. the black chronograph counters, as well as the markers, both in white gold and in yellow gold. But you guys can comment below and let me know which you would prefer. Ooh, this is nice. So here we have a 36mm platinum day date. And again, this is still done in the old ways where the platinum day dates had a smooth bezel rather than the fluted bezel like the new one they just came out with, and just kind of messed up the whole thing because now fluted bezel platinum day date that has a bezel that belongs to a white gold watch. So a little confusion on the market. You rarely see these. Okay, so this is an Arabic wave dial, as they call it, or there are other names for it, I'm sure that people will say. But it's a really cool combo because this particular dial is one of the ones that really stands out a lot. If you look at some of the other platinum dates that, let's say, have a diamond dial or just plain stick markers, it doesn't really stand. This really makes the entire watch disappear, and you really, really get a good look at this dial because it really pops from the far. Like, you know, you're about, what, 5-6 feet away from me? Does it pop for you?
It does.
Dom?
I would say so.
Let's move on to my favorite box, and that's a green box. You guys know green boxes is Audemars Piguet. I don't know what this is, but oh, look at that. So what do we have here? We have a new style Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore in rose gold. And what does this thing have? My absolute favorite with what it came out with, and that is the quick and easy interchangeable system. You know what's funny? Every time like I get one of these and I say quick and easy to change, odds are 9 out of 10 it gets stuck and I can't get it out quick and easily. This particular one, it happens to come off easily. So there we go. You get it with a rubber strap, you get it with a crocodile strap. Versatility is great. This watch is a lot more ergonomic and hugs the wrist better. It's slightly smaller in size than its predecessor, which set at like 45mm, which was a bit of a behemoth. Still on a heavy side, but look how well it hugs my, well, forearm. I guess in this case I have too many watches on, but no, let me take this guy off. You do understand, look, I have a small wrist. Look how well this sits. I mean, it just sits really well. All right, so what we have here is a very, very beautiful Lange anniversary. This Lange anniversary at a glance doesn't seem like a big deal. If you go online, you're gonna see them selling for a tremendous amount of money, and that is because of the dial. It's a porcelain dial on this watch. Anytime you get with a watch with a porcelain dial, Rolex is fetch tremendous numbers when it comes to porcelain dials, because very, very few make, because it's a very fragile material. If you guys ever drop a cup from your grandmother's cupboard that's probably porcelain, you probably know that it is indeed very, very fragile. So they usually reserve it for special pieces such as this Lange-matic anniversary. How about the Audemars Piguet Starwheel? And this thing is in ridiculous shape. It still has like the original patina. If you can zoom in on that, you can kind of see like the stainage, as they call it. Most people will take a cloth and wipe it off. I say don't, because it adds character. It takes years for that type of patina. It literally sitting idle for that type of patina to be created. Can I do a history of the wandering hours in one breath? Ready? The year was 1600. It was Pope John 8th, 9th, 11th, I don't know, there was like 4,400 of them, right? He had insomnia, he couldn't sleep. He then reached out to a very talented Italian watchmaker whose name I can't pronounce, nor do I remember it off the top of my head. You guys can look it up, it's all on Google, who then created a clock for him. And that clock, its only job was to project the hours of the night or the day, or the night really, onto a wall by using an oil lamp inside, which utilizes little discs, i.e. the wandering hours that would, at a glance, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, he can open up one of his eyes, look at his wall, see that it's still in the middle of the night, and try to go back to sleep. I don't know how well he did with his insomnia, but that's the clock that was created. That in turn inspired Audemars Piguet to create the wandering hours, right? In the form of this star wheel. You can sort of see the little discs that will flip over. Further to that, because of this gave inspiration to another whole brand, i.e. 𝗿𝗿𝗲𝗏. If you look at an 𝗿𝗿𝗏 watch, you'll see those little cubes kind of going around in circles and switching times. It was this very watch that inspired them to create the 𝗿𝗿𝗏 as a brand, and it's the key functionality of pretty much most of the 𝗿𝗿𝗏 watches out there. So there's my quick 30-second history on the star wheel. Well, before I give you a watch from the top 10 most iconic watches ever made, I want to give a shout out to a young kid that sent me this. If you guys remember when the whole Omega Swatch watch thing was happening, right? We were talking about all those watches, and I may have said it on camera, maybe off camera, but I said, you know what I wish they did? I wish they had like a box that would have all of them in one and would come as a set, and they didn't. So this young man, his name is Dylan, reached out to me on Instagram, we started talking, and I do answer my DMs, guys. And if you think it's not me, it actually is me. Mr. Sharp, thank you very much for reviewing my box. It means so much to me, and I could have not been more grateful. My dream is that one day I can become a successful businessman like you. I really appreciate you helping me in my journey. I think Dylan is like 15 years old, or maybe 16 years old at most. So what he did is he actually opened up a company and he started making his own boxes. And these boxes are specifically to fit, guess what? The Moonwatch collection. Now, I don't think there are any Moonwatches in here. What I like is that he did take cues from like Omega packaging. Omega packaging usually has this Velcro type of straps on a lot of their stuff. Ta-da! Look at that. Oh, look at that. Hi, I'm Dylan. He's 14 years old and the founder of Watch Bubble. A few years ago, I discovered watches while browsing. Well, I guess this is what comes with this, but this is going to allow you to display your Swatch watch collection. I'll be honest with you, Dylan, I would display my Omega watch collection in there. But I think you did a wonderful job, and the fact that you're 14 and you're already doing this type of things, I take my hat off to you. Can we tag them on something? So it's watchbubble.com. Bubble is B-U-B-L.com. All you guys out there collecting Omegas or Swatch watches for that matter, I think this is pretty generic and can fit a lot of cool stuff. And look at that, you can take it on the go. Getting back to the unboxing, let's finish this off with a watch that was voted top 10 most iconic watches in the world. It's actually on the cover of a book that's called Top 10 Iconic Watches. I'm sure you guys see it's a big red book. What was the watch on the cover? Obviously the Cartier Crash. So the Cartier Crash 1991 Paris edition has shot through the roof. Its popularity has been climbing. I've told you guys numerous times before, Cartier collectors are probably some of the most low-key collectors out there. I want to give a shout out to Ronnie. You know who he is, I follow him on my Instagram. He is one of those collectors, has probably some of the most ridiculous Cartiers out there, to include a multitude of variations of the Cartier Crash. As it stands today, the 1991 Paris edition, which is what this is the most desirable one. This thing has the original certificate, and it's what's important is these were limited to 400. What's important about certificates, the certificate will actually say 1991 on it. I mean, I can tell it's 1991. A lot of these are usually without boxing papers, but this is the full set as it would come if you were to buy it in the Paris boutique in Cartier back in 1991. Most recently, it was Kanye West that made this watch pretty famous. He was wearing the Cartier Crash. Most will say it's pretty small for men, but it's kind of like a new flex. As of late, you notice a lot of celebrities starting to wear smaller watches, right? Smaller vintage watches in particular. It is sort of a look, if you will. I mean, it fits me fine. I have a small wrist. Trends change, and one of the trends now is small, but it tends to be within the realm of the vintage stuff, and this Cartier Crash is no exception. I think it deserves to be in the top 10 most iconic watches ever made because numerous stories about it. I'm not going to get into it. There's 3 or 4 versions as to why this thing was called a Cartier Crash. Most of the time it's naked, and anytime I get a chance to have one of these in stock, I certainly try to do my best to do so. And last time I had one of these was definitely more than a year ago. So not very often do I come across these. With that said, I want to say thank you. YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I will see you on the next one.